If you didn't know, at the Annecy Film Festival in 2024, it was announced alongside the Adventure Time movie actually coming, 2 new series would also be releasing. One being titled Heyo Bimo, that seems like it probably won't be coming now as Cartoon Network's preschool block, Cartoonito, got shut down, but then also another series titled Adventure Time Side Quest. This series builds on the heartfelt storytelling, playful humor, and richly creative world of the first show, tapping into the spirit of its early seasons with lighter, self-contained adventures designed to introduce a new generation of fans to the Land of Ooo, while giving existing fans more of what they love. The series delivers standalone, silly quests and playful challenges that celebrate the joyful chaos of Finn and Jake's adventures. So somewhat like Gumball with the wonderfully robotic Gumball, but then fully like Regular Show with Regular Show The Lost Tapes, Adventure Time will also now be getting a series that will take the characters back to how they were before the series ended, but also before plots and or story arcs took place that changed them forever. The showrunners and or Cartoon Network are probably mainly doing this to have all of the characters in their most popular and recognizable forms, but also of course to kind of revive these shows to the maximum capacity they can in order to fund other spin-off projects that they want to do in the future. It's pretty smart, but honestly I still think it's truly what people want to see the most for these series anyways, with people who have watched it all but don't like how it ended or changed and want it to go back to how it was, and for people who have never even watched all of the series but still grew up with it and so remember tidbits of it, which are usually memories from the early seasons. It's pretty much exactly who SideQuest is made for. Spin-offs are great and I personally prefer them over the idea, but I'm also not against it whatsoever. New Adventure Time content is new Adventure Time content at the end of the day, and I absolutely love the early Adventure Time seasons. But with them going back in time in the series and not being able to go back in time in real life, of course not every voice actor is going to be able to continue to voice the character that they did in the early seasons. With characters that were already adults at the time, they can come back easily, but having a kid character sound like a grown man or woman just doesn't really work or make sense generally, but definitely wouldn't with this series, and especially not with our main character, who of course at the time of season 1 is only 12 years old. Over the course of Adventure Time, Finn's voice changes drastically, probably more than any other character in the show, as he goes from 12 years old all the way to 17, or actually 29 when we see him in Fiona and Cake, which released years after Adventure Time ended, so therefore the voice actor of Finn, Jeremy Shada's voice, has of course changed even more so now. And so because of this, he actually seemingly won't be voicing Finn in Adventure Time Side Quest. We actually finally got a big reveal that was honestly kind of shocking, as they posted our first look at the series, showing us not only that it would actually be fully in a different art style, but also that the release date is actually June 29th of this year, which is now only 3 weeks away. But now we actually have even more information about the series, as at IGN Live 2026 yesterday, they actually previewed the first 2 episodes early in their entirety to people who attended the panel. And so of course now we have a review of these 2 episodes telling us what they will be about and if they're good or bad, but also through that generally what we can expect out of the series for episodes after it, and whether that means the series will be good overall. Firstly, the reviewer, Cartoon Universe, states, "We weren't allowed to film or have our phones out, but the show was cute. I adored the art style. It was definitely a departure from the more serious tone a lot of the recent AT shows have had. So the art style that has people concerned that it will be bad and or just different from the original series is at least good to them, and or something that doesn't really affect their viewing pleasure, but if anything probably just raises it. Adventure Time changes its animation style in many episodes, so honestly, off the jump, seeing it look different didn't feel all that strange to me. But of course, people are going to have their concerns, but hopefully this eases them a little bit. But anyways, they then also point out Finn's new voice actor being different, which is another thing that's of course making fans concerned that it won't be the same. But they state that they got used to it pretty quickly. I am really curious to see how much they are able to replicate Finn's voice. But now, moving on to the first two episodes of Adventure Time side quests. The first episode featured Finn and Jake. Finn was at an event and starting to feel bad about his noodle arms. He decided to take up using the crossbow because it is something he was able to do without much training. But a character named Boyish Boy didn't like Finn using the crossbow. Eventually, they do a challenge to win Princess Bubblegum's favor. Of course, Finn does end up winning. Finn having an insecurity about his arms being noodly at a young age is pretty interesting, not only as a thing to touch on as a subject for relatability for viewers, but also because he of course ends up losing his arm in the future and is pretty much just okay with it and or comes to believe that having a robot prosthesis is cool. I mean, he was even dreaming about himself looking like this in season 2. Him having this insecurity just gives an even closer look as to why that really is. Also, having Boyish Boy, who is clearly going to be Manish Man's son, a character from season 1, challenged Finn for Princess Bubblegum to declare whether Finn should use a crossbow or not, truly makes me wonder why, if he also won against them, he just never really uses the crossbow in the original series, besides that one time when he shot at Banana Man. Nonetheless, this episode truly sounds like it's straight out of season 1 and or like it will kind of be a precursor to the episode The Enchiridion, which is one of the best episodes in season 1, so it should be a pretty good start to the series. Episode 2 was Son of the Goblin Queen. This one was about Ice Queen getting an online girlfriend who turned out to be the Goblin Queen. But before getting to really meet her, she needed him to watch her son, who turns out to be a huge menace. Ice King recruits Finn and Jake to help, but they are also overwhelmed. After a while of dealing with the child, Finn and Jake convince Ice King to break up with the Goblin Queen. When she comes to pick up her son, we can see that she's actually an amazing mother and everything was just a big misunderstanding. Ice King really regrets breaking up with her and of course tries getting revenge on Finn and Jake. At first this had me confused as it sounded like this meant that Fiona and Cake's characters would just be and ooh with them, but I'm assuming that Cartoon Universe just accidentally put Ice Queen at the beginning and meant to put Ice King. Nonetheless, if that is the case, I'm pretty shocked that Zergiok managed to get a wife. But anyways, Finn and Jake babysitting just an evil goblin baby reminds me heavily of the episode where Mordecai and Rigby have to babysit Deaf's son. If this is anything like that, it should be very fun. Overall, these two episodes sound pretty good and truly like they are early Adventure Time episodes. Revisiting back to this time period in the show is truly going to feel surreal, but at the same time incredibly nostalgic and fun. Cartoon Universe also states that it was fun despite it seeming like it's for a younger audience, which we already knew, but also that he hopes there will be some lore sprinkled in, which of course we can only hope. The trailer begins with us getting the classic shot of the Adventure Time treehouse. Just now, whilst continuing to feel cartoony, looks way more realistic. But anyways, we then see Jake picking up the phone before speaking for him and Finn and asking how they can help whoever's on the other line. As we then find out that it was probably the Ice King, as Jake tells Finn that the Ice Kingdom is getting messed up, which in response to hearing, Finn just screams in his ear before doing a flip and saying that it's probably Ice King doing messed up stuff, which obviously, as this is taking place during season 1 or before it, the Ice King is once again a villain, which whilst is pretty sad, will still be pretty fun as the Ice King is probably one of the funniest characters in the show. We then get this kind of new version of the poster, as they say that this is from the humans that brought you Adventure Time. We then see Finn and Jake in the treehouse while it's covered with what appears to be toilet paper, while Jake is just doing the weirdest, creepiest laugh. I wonder if possibly he could be doing a prank on Finn in this scene. We then see Finn with a cape, as well as a spear and a shield in what appears to be the crystal dimension. kitchen, as well as Jake stretching before saying radical. I doubt this is the case, but it would be cool if this was the first time Jake figures out he can stretch. But anyways, we then see Finn and Jake entering the Candy Kingdom, which also is extremely detailed and looks beautiful. We then see BMO with headphones on before saying that this is the beginning of the rest of their lives. Whether they're talking about Finn and Jake in this scenario, who knows? But regardless, it's a good sentence to be included in the trailer just to show that it truly is the beginning all the more. But we then see Jake throw Finn in the air before he then bashes a stone with a hammer. I assume there is some sort of treasure inside. We then see Finn dragging Jake over to this creepy tree, which looks like the Tree of Blight from the Hugwolf episode, but Jake then says that this tree was just a sapling when he used to bury demons here. I assume that this was a task he was sent to do by his father after he killed them, but the tree then asks Finn to feed him candy, and Finn just asks Jake why it knows his name, and Jake says, oh, we talked. This scene was pretty funny, but makes me wonder if it's possibly from a Halloween episode of sorts. The series does air on Cartoon Network globally on October 5th, so it is very possible that we do have a Halloween special. But anyways, we then see the Ice King chasing Finn and Jake, whilst Jake carries the Slime Princess in a cage, showing that they probably just saved her from him, and so now he of course wants revenge. I'm really curious to see how the fights themselves are animated, but this shot alone of Jake stretching out of the way of Ice King's attack has me thinking that they'll be pretty good. We then see Finn and Jake floating through the air covered in arrows, before Jake then asks Finn if it's just like how he remembers. Obviously they use this scene in the trailer to kind of speak to the viewers and ask it to them, but it looks like Jake was saying this to Finn because they are in a dungeon, so that should be pretty fun. We then see the candy people asking Princess Bubblegum if they're going to be okay, while she's wearing this safari looking outfit, and everything in the background is just destroyed in black and white. I genuinely have no idea what could be happening in this scene, but Princess Bubblegum tells them that they'll be fine because they have Finn and Jake. But we then cut to Finn and Jake, who are just running for their lives. Whether this is a part of the same episode or not, who knows, but this was still pretty funny. It appears like they are running away from demons, so maybe this is connected to the episode where they visit the tree, and somehow they end up reawakening the demons that Jake buried there, and now they're all just seeking revenge on them. I wonder if through this we actually end up learning even more lore about Joshua. But we then see Finn and Jake set up an obstacle course on their treehouse, just like they did in the episode Businessmen with the bridge. But Finn then asks Jake if he's ready to get pulverized, and Jake says, as long as it's with you, my man. As the two then hold hands, which was really cute, as we also then see them as a duo just going on more adventures, from Finn riding Jake like a horse in the desert, to Jake getting electrocuted before probably being saved by Finn, and Finn and Jake in these royal outfits fighting with swords. I guarantee that this series is really going to embrace their duo-ship, which I am here for. But we then see Ice King tell Gunter that he has a girlfriend, which we actually know, thanks to the information that we received at IGN Live, is none other than the Goblin Queen. So somehow at this time, Zergiok managed to get a wife, which is pretty interesting. We then see some sort of fire crab coming out of the toilet and attacking Jake, and then a scene from what appears to be the first episode of the series, from what we know from IGN Live, where Finn and Manishman are doing a duel of sorts to determine whether Finn should be able to use a crossbow. I don't know how this leads to Finn trying to make an excuse and saying that he has to poop, but I guess we'll just have the scene. We then see Finn and Jake being squished, Finn and Jake fighting this electric monster, whilst Ice King is for some reason in the background, and then a bunch of gnomes entering a volcano before Finn says that the heroes saved the day. But it seems like that is not the case, as Princess Bubblegum then shows up before asking where the King of Ooh is and why all the gnomes are in the volcano. So clearly it's going to be an episode like Dungeon, where they do something dumb, and instead of almost getting killed and then being saved by Bubblegum, they just kind of get others killed, and she has to save them, or really can't save them because they're already dead. I'm not really sure, and I'm also not sure how the King of Ooh will be involved, but that should also be interesting. But anyways, we then get the screen of Adventure Time side quests, marking the end of the trailer. But we then do get one more scene where Jake just warns Finn not to get bird shit in his eyes, as Finn just does not listen whatsoever. This trailer, at least to me, instantly shows that the art style will not be a problem, and if anything, is just something that truly adds a new feeling to this series. A lot of people want all these revivals to be the exact same, but I truly do not mind if they they switch things up a little bit. The new Adventure Time series, Adventure Time Side Quest, that was announced to be coming in exactly 20 days from today on June 29th, was actually just accidentally released onto Disney and Hulu. This actually happened with regular show The Lost Tapes before it released as well. So this honestly isn't a surprise, but nonetheless, it still is pretty weird that Disney has allowed this to happen twice now. Either their UI is really bad and just somehow malfunctioning, or someone in charge is doing it purposefully in order to create more talk online and overall hype surrounding the series. It is definitely not a good sign for the service, but either way, Adventure Time fans are definitely happy to have watched these episodes. But anyways, around 5 episodes of Adventure Time Side Quest were released early, and whilst I personally did not get to see them, as they are now of course all removed, a lot of people did, and also shared not only new information regarding these episodes in the series, but some clips from them as well. From the screenshots of the episodes, we also have what number episode they are in the series, which actually reveals that this series will be pretty long, either having a total of 36 episodes or potentially even more. Anyways, the first episode that got released is episode 14, which is titled Game Night. The plot synopsis for the series reads: sent by Princess Bubblegum, Finn and Jake venture into the dream realm to stop an evil spirit who's been stealing all of the sweet dreams in the Candy Kingdom. But what starts as a cool anything goes adventure turns dangerous when the dream demon does something probably bad, but nonetheless, it'll be fine, of course. The second episode released is season 1, episode 15, which is titled Punchy. The plot synopsis for this episode reads: Finn and Jake stow away on PB's self-driving robot, Punchy. When Punchy gets confused by unforeseen obstacles, Finn suspects Punchy's gone traitor. So once again, PB making a being that becomes too violent and or evil. Or maybe it actually isn't evil and Finn's intuition is wrong for once. The third episode released is episode 24, which is titled Tiny Negs. After Jake refuses to tip a bard that he already paid to praise Finn, the bard turns petty, weaving insulting digs about Jake into his wildly popular hero songs. As these tunes blow up and the insults spread across Ooo, Jake spirals, unable to escape the catchy hums. So this episode is actually going to explain why Finn has this imagination man in his head, as this guy is literally going to be driving them absolutely insane, especially Jake, to the point where they possibly even kill him and or just somehow cause him to blow up, as shown in this scene, in which they also joke about how their land definitely isn't ruled by rich dictators before the episode then just ends, which is pretty funny. But anyways, I don't see how Jake refuses to tip the bard. As we see in this clip of Jake dribbling a gem, he also throws multiple gems at him and asks him, how about this? So it seems like the bard is going to be petty for no reason and probably will deserve to be blown up. The next episode release is episode 31, entitled Wedgie Tree. Finn is out doing hero training when he climbs a towering tree and gets painfully wedged on a branch, leaving him stuck, stranded, and spiraling into the heat-induced hallucinations. As he faces the possibility of dying snagged on a branch, Jake's own extreme laziness perhaps doesn't help. Maybe Finn will literally be begging for help, thinking that he is going to die on this tree, and Jake is just doing absolutely nothing, which would be pretty funny. But the next episode that released is episode 36, entitled Sweet Tooth. Finn and Jake venture to the Dream Realm to defeat Mansion Feely, an evil spirit who's been stealing all of the sweet dreams from the Candy Kingdom. In the first episode that released, Game Night, Finn and Jake also go to the Dream Realm to stop an evil spirit. I wonder if this could also be the same spirit in this episode, and if that means that this dream demon will perhaps be the new Lich of this series. Either way, in both episodes, we'll be dealing with lots of dream shenanigans, which should be pretty fun. This series already looked amazing just based off of what we saw in the trailer, but now with the clips that have been posted, not only does the series look even better visually, but it's also made clear that the humor is also going to be extremely good. The comedic timing in Adventure Time is truly one of the best parts of the series, so I'm pretty hyped to see that remain to be the case in this this series. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on these episodes if you have seen them, and whether you have or not, if you're excited to see side quest when it releases on June 29th in the comments below. As with that said, that is going to be the end of the video, so consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see y'all in the next one, whenever that is.